Welcome to Yoga for Tight Hips. We'll do a variety of movements to help you feeling more loose and open in the hips. So let's get started. We'll begin kneeling down on your mat. So come to both knees and then prop yourself forward and bring your hands to the mat. So you're on all fours and then begin to extend your left leg out to the side. So left leg is straight and we'll still bend through the right knee. Now sit your hip back towards your heel as far as you feel like you can comfortably stretch. And then bring your hips back forward. So we're going to create this gentle rocking motion. Your back toes, so of your right side, can be tucked or untucked, just depending on what feels more comfortable to you. So we're going to rock back and forth, starting to open up through the inner thigh of your left leg, into the hip capsule of your right. So again, that little rocking motion forward and back. Now push back one more time and see how far back you can sit hips to heels. And even possibly then, maybe you can lower your forearms down to the ground. Just lean forward and release as far as you can to a little bit deeper stretch. Take one more breath. And then we'll inhale, roll back forward, come up onto your hands if you lowered, and then we'll switch out legs. So now bring your left knee down, extend the right leg out. Once again, sit back, hip toward heels, down and then forward again. So just create that gentle rocking motion forward and back, exploring the hips a bit. Find what's tight to begin with here. A few more times, remembering that your back foot can be tucked or untucked. And then let's sit back once more, hips to heels, and find as far as you can lower. So whether you just round forward or release the forearms, again, find that nice stretch. One more inhale. And then inhale, rise back up. Go ahead and bring both knees in together. And then we'll extend into a child's pose. So your big toes are to touch now, knees wide, and just walk the hands forward, sinking your forehead down to the mat. Find a nice deep breath in here. Good, followed by the exhale. And with your next inhale, rise up, coming to all fours. So your hands will be directly underneath the shoulders, knees underneath hips. Now keep your hands in place. Try not to lift them off the mat. Shift your weight into the hands and now bring your right knee up and in, and then step outside of your right pinky. So we're going to shift the hips as far forward as you can here into a stretch. Then press back, return your right knee back, and we'll go the same way. So, the alternate way. Left foot forward, outside of your left hand, press the hips forward. And then again, return. Now that you've done this each one side, now really try to push up through the shoulders, pull in through the core, drive your knee in, and then step up and out. Try not to scrape the foot along the mat. Same thing as we come back, try to lift your foot first, and then bring it on back. Left side now, press, lift, and step. Coming back, lift your foot, and then fly back. We'll go one more time each way. Drive the knee in, step forward, lift up, and come back. And now left side, drive the knee up and in, lift, step, press your hips, and we'll return and step back. Just a brief hips to heels, just kind of release off the hands. Maybe a little shake and movement through the hips this way. Good, and now you're gonna walk your hands forwards, just take one big walking distance. Bring your hips forward, and now one big step forward with your right foot yet again. And this time we'll take a deeper stretch. So you're gonna push the hips forward into this deep lunge, finding the hips opening. Keeping your fingertips to the mat now. Extend the hips back, and you're gonna pull the toes up and away from the mat now. So fingertips stay, toes lift. You can go ahead and tuck the chin then. But now we'll bring this into a flow. So come forward, inhale, press the hips, lift the chest. Exhale, send the hips back, pull the toes, drop your nose. Again, forward, hips press, chest lift. Exhale, hips back, toes lift. One more time, inhale forward. Exhale, return. And forward again, but this time keep the hands planted as you step your right leg all the way back. Now we'll continue with the left side, so bring the left foot forward, up and outside of your left pinky, and press your hips as far forward as you can go. So really just try to feel the release of the hips dropping down toward the mat. Yeah, now again, fingertips to the mat as you push the hips back, pull the left toes up now toward your nose, and drop the head. Inhale to come forward, press the chest and lift. Exhale to press back, pull the toes and fold forward. Once again, forward inhale. Exhale, press back, release. And forward we come one more time, release the hands and step the left foot all the way back. Again, hips to heels just for a brief moment into really big extended child's pose. Now spread your fingers wide, press all 10 fingers into the mat. You're gonna tuck your toes underneath to push into the mat as well. And now with an exhale, push into your hands and toes, lift your hips to the sky, and come into a downward facing dog. All right, with your down dog, just bend your knees ever so slightly so that you feel like you can push into your hands a bit further so you can open up the chest, open up the shoulders, and lift your bum to the sky. Now that you've opened up through the shoulders, try to extend and straighten the legs as much as you can, feeling the stretch to the back side of your legs. Now with an inhale, lift your right leg up to the sky. So big reach with the right leg. Try to drop your left heel to the floor. Keep pressing and now lifting your right leg. Exhale, come forward. Bring your knee to your nose. At the same time, bring your ankle toward your left wrist. So you're kind of bringing your shin up toward the front of your mat so it becomes parallel. And then we'll drop your whole shin onto the mat. So this is a setup for a pigeon pose, but we're going to stay up nice and high. Feel that stretch into the outside of your right hip. Dropping your hips as close to the floor as you can, but still keep your back leg off the mat. Now we're going to do that one more time. So you're going to press up, roll, send your right leg to the sky. So big inhale. And now come forward one more time. Exhale, knee toward wrist, ankle toward opposite wrist, the left one, and then drop down. If you need to, you can go ahead and just drop your back knee if that feels better. But otherwise, a nice big stretch through your right hip. Once again, press and step back. Exhale to your downward facing dog. Now we'll move to our left side. So inhale, lift left leg to the sky. Again, try to drop your right heel, lift your left leg high, And exhale, come forward. So knee to nose, but now bring your chin forward, ankle toward right wrist as much as you can. Release your knee and then try to drop the hips to stretch the outside of your left hip. All right, we're gonna push into the hands again. Lift the hips, send your left leg high, big inhale. And now exhale, come forward, knee to nose, ankle toward right wrist. Again, drop the hips to stretch. We're almost there with this one. It tends to be quite a big stretch, quite a big movement. And push up once again. We're gonna step all the way back and through to down dog for a brief moment. So take a big push, big inhale. And now come up on the tippy toes. You're gonna step forward. So little tippy toes, walking, step all the way up to the top of your mat. At the top of your mat, then exhale, round the whole body forward, round the torso forward, and release into a forward fold. So just settle, sink into this pose here. We did a lot on the hands, so you might want to just roll the wrists as well. You can even push down with one hand to the other. Rotate them around, just bring a bit of fluid, blood flow back. And then take a nice slow roll up to standing. So what we're going to do is round the spine, one vertebra at a time. Begin to roll and rise yourself up to standing. Once you're here, take a big inhale, sweep the arms all the way up overhead. And whichever way you're facing, just take a giant step back on your mat so you can still see. So a big giant step, the feet are nice and wide. And then we're going to tee the arms out left and right. So the toes will be straight ahead. Now hinging directly at the hips, start to press the chest forward, hinge with a flat back, keep folding, releasing yourself all the way down, and then release your fingertips to the mat. So keep this nice long flat back, keep the length in your legs, and just try to fold as deeply as you can, again, but still maintaining the length in your spine. All right, now go ahead and round and release the whole spine down. Come into a fold. So you're stretching the backs of your legs, deep hamstring stretch, and a release through the spine. Now begin to walk your hands to the top of your mat or the front of your mat. Walk towards your foot, and then with the trailing foot, your back one, you're going to let your toes come up. Sit as far down as you can into your front foot. So your heel can come up. Your hips don't have to be as low as mine, but you're just trying to sit as deep as you can into this front hip. And you'll feel that giant stretch of your straight leg. We're gonna start to move to the back of your mat. So walk the hands back to the back, and we'll shift the position of our legs. So sit back into your back foot. Pull your front foot up. Good, now go ahead and coordinate this with breath. So inhale through center we go, walk to the front. Exhale, sink down into your front foot. And once again, inhale, come back through center. And exhale to the back foot. Good, through center again, this time stay into the middle. We're going to take the feet now and turn the heels in toward one another with the toes nice and wide. So really try to open the hips as much as you can, feeling the stretch in the inner thighs. And we'll keep the hands planted to the floor. So drop the hips. See if you can challenge yourself to get the hips lower than your shoulders even, or at least in a straight line. Begin to rock left and right, pushing or alternating pushing between each leg. Maybe you can get to a nice straight leg. Just try to open as far as you can. It's a bit exploratory as well because everyone will move a bit differently. So find where you feel the deepest of stretches. Then come to center with the fingertips to the ground. Try to drop your hips as low as possible. Lift the chest, and then we're going to release the hands with an inhale. Rise the torso all the way up, keeping the bend in the legs. Bring your elbows into the sides. Spread the fingers wide. Big inhale, open the chest. With a big inhale, stretch and lengthen the legs as you stretch the arms overhead. Reach to the sky. Exhale, bring your elbows down into your sides as you lower back into your squat. Inhale now, stretch and reach. Send your fingertips up. Exhale, elbows into your sides, sink back down once again. And then we're gonna dive the torso forward, try to fold as you release the hands to the mat. Good, now lengthen the legs, stick the bum in the air. We're gonna take the toes now, turn them all the way in toward one another. And once again, exhale, release, and fold. Maybe catch your breath here. Using big muscles into big joints. It's always a little bit more work. So breathe, slow the heart rate down. And now we're going to roll the spine up to standing. So still keep this wide stance of the legs. Just release the fingertips, start to round the spine up to standing. And then from there, we're just going to take a big step back to the top of your mat. So turn the toes, big inhale, reach and stretch. Find length through the whole body, straight up through the fingertips. And then tee the arms out, hinge at the hips, and dive yourself all the way down to a forward fold and release yet again. Good, now bend your knees, plant your hands on the mat, and then you're going to step all the way back and through. So you come into a plank-like position, and then press your hips up and back into a downward facing dog. So fingers wide, press the hips up to the sky, feel that opening. Breathe in yet again. And now send your right leg up to the sky. So 3-leg down dog with a big inhale, stretch. And now come forward, bring your knee to your nose. We're gonna bring the shin forward again. So shin to your left wrist. Now this time, drop your back knee. You're gonna start to wiggle a little bit, so kind of shift your weight back, back, back. And we're gonna sink down into a pigeon stretch. So this one tends to be quite difficult. It is helpful to maybe sit on top of a pillow or a yoga block here. But it's okay if you don't feel completely even. Just start to feel a deep stretch into your right hip. So settle in. See if you can feel an evening between the hips. So kind of maybe move left and right a little bit. Shift your weight slightly a bit more to the left. And now see where you can release. So begin to fold. Fold through the torso. Round down, maybe release to an elbow or two. Even if you're on the hands, just still drop your head regardless of where you are. And let's see if you can really focus into the breath. Think about that stretch in your right hip. Now the more calm, slow breathing you can do helps encourage the body to release. So here's not the time to hold your breath. Okay, take one more deep breath in here. And now rise up to your hands if you're not already there. So begin to push back into your back leg, sending the hips back. What we'll do is tuck under through the back toes, press, and step all the way back through to a downward facing dog. From here, just really reach the hips up to the sky. Feel a big stretch through the backside body. And now with that right leg, you're going to keep the right leg down to the floor and take your left foot and just cross it behind your right as if you're trying to press your heel down into the mat. So the left side is kind of helping the right leg. We really want to try to lengthen the right leg, push the hip into the sky, and feel that stretch. Good, and now we'll switch. So send your left leg up to the sky. So big inhale, reach. Good. Inhale, stretch, and then come forward. Exhale, knee to nose, and your left ankle is coming to your right wrist. Drop your back knee again, start to wiggle, sliding the hips back, and sink down into the mat. So again, play around a little bit again, moving your weight, shifting, again, maybe propping something underneath your left hip. Again, side to side. Start to bring your weight a little bit more toward your right. And when you're ready, go ahead and release. Sink down as far as you can. But once again, just release the spine and head. If you ever get to a point where you feel it's so intense that you're holding or stifling your breath, just see if you can back off a little bit so you're able to really melt down and release into the stretch. Okay, once again, take a big breath in. Rise up to your hands if you haven't yet gotten there, and tuck your back toes under. Press back and step into your downward facing dog. Again, press your hips nice and high. The left foot now is going to release as much as it can and cross your right foot behind, trying to encourage your heel to drop and your left leg to lengthen. Find that stretch here. All right, now come back to a down dog. So both feet to the floor, lift your hips nice and high. Big inhale. And then exhale, drop your knees down to the mat. You're just gonna cross your ankles and then roll back over them to come bum to the floor. Now we're gonna roll all the way down onto your mat. So find the center of your mat and we'll grab the backs of the thighs. So lengthen the arms, let yourself roll back into the low back, and one by one, release the vertebra down onto the floor. To begin now, we're going to bring both feet to the floor. Let both feet or both knees fall over to the left. So they're just going to drop down toward the floor. The left leg is underneath, but now you'll pick that foot up and cross it over top of your right knee. So let the weight of your left leg kind of drag and open up the front of your right hip. And then just take a big stretch with your right arm, reaching up and away from the legs, and we'll rest here. Bring the deep breaths down into the belly. Inhale, you're going to release the left leg, bring the knees all the way back through to center. And then release the legs now to the right. So again, your right leg is underneath, but we'll pick it up, crossing right ankle on top of left knee. And again, let the front of your left hip pull and open as the left arm stretches out and upward. Inhale, release your right leg, roll back to center. And then allow both feet to come in together, touching the soles of the feet together. Let your knees fall open, so nice diamond shape with the lower body. You can kind of move around a little bit so you feel your hips just releasing to open. And with a big inhale now, take the hands, reach them up to the ceiling, and begin to stretch overhead, letting one palm rest in the other. Create a diamond shape with the upper body as well as with the lower body. Your low back can arc off the floor, but from here, think about the deepening of your breath. Let the belly really fill up and then release. And take one more big inhale. With an exhale now, bring the arms back down along your sides, draw your knees up and together, and then pull everything up into a nice ball. So squeeze the knees in, hold the arms in. And one more deep breath. Hold on to your thighs, your knees, and start to kick the feet. So you roll up and back along the spine, all the way up to a seat. And we'll sit up nice and tall to take a breath in here together. So exhale, drop all of your air, drop your hands down. With an inhale, sweep the arms upward toward the ceiling, stretch and reach. And with a big exhale through the mouth, seal your hands. And release all of your air out, hands down to your heart. Thanks for joining me for your yoga for tight hips. Until next time.